Alright, so I already have all of the packages I need in this demonstration copied. So if you pause the video, you can go ahead and copy all those down, or if you want, you can just wait to the end. And all the source code from these tutorials I'm going to be putting in my forum. So if you just want to hop over there in the Android section, you can just copy it and paste it, whatever. And let me adjust here. So the first object that I'm going to create, and you guys are going to be really familiar with this, is a sprite batch object. Now sprite batch works behind the scenes to make drawing things and displaying things on the screen really quick and efficient, and you guys are going to see exactly how we use that in just a second. And since this is a tutorial for just displaying simple text, the text that we're going to be using is actually bitmap font. This is just pretty much the font, and I'll just name that font. So now in create, remember I told you guys that create is the method where you pretty much set everything up. So for the batch object, we're just going to set this equal to new sprite batch, and it doesn't take any parameters. And for the font object, which is actually the object that we're going to be displaying on the screen, just set this equal to new bitmap font. And right now we didn't add any parameters. This is essentially equal to a blank font object. It doesn't have any text, it doesn't have any colors, anything like that. Now by default, the parameters on your font I believe are 15 pixel and Arial. Now on pretty much any device nowadays, like especially the newer phones with super high resolution, 15 pixels is really small. I mean, if it's like 1080, then what's 15 pixels? It's like a little dot on the screen. So I'll show you guys how to kind of scale your font up in just a bit. But now that we have the object, the first thing I actually want to do is change the color of it, just to keep things interesting. So it's called set color, and if we just go color, pick your favorite color. So now we have blue font, and for the size of it, we can actually call scale, and we can just grow it by 5 times. So let me give myself a little bit more space. So now we're working with big blue font, pretty sweet, and we just have the parameters set, but we didn't actually display it on the screen yet. Now before I do that, I actually want to include this method, dispose. Now get rid of all this. Now as you can see, it's an override method, and this is another method that gets called automatically, and it's from, of course, application adapter. So this one gets called whenever we first start the app. This one gets called over and over pretty much as our game is running. Now dispose, it gets called at the end of your life cycle. So when this class, when pretty much your device is done using everything in this class, and the reason that we want to call this is because this is where we get rid of all our resources, free them up, in other words, dispose of them. And if you guys are like, this is the boring stuff, memory management, I'll skip over this, do not, because if you don't dispose of your resources and don't free them up, you're going to have really bad memory leaks on your phone, and stuff is going to start to happen real slow, and it's going to suck, probably going to need to restart your phone, and cars are going to start crashing in, and meteors are going to start raining down from the sky. Do not skip over this method, it's very important. So the first thing is batch. I'm going to dispose of that, and also font, dispose of that. So now that we got all the memory management, freed up our resources when we don't need them, because hey, we're not greedy. Now in the render is where we actually display it on the screen. So I don't know, that's kind of what the whole purpose of it is. Now before we display anything on the screen, you're always going to have 2 lines of code in here, and this is kind of weird, but this is just how you do it. We pretty much need to wipe the screen, clear everything out, so we're working with a blank canvas. Now if you call gdx.gl.gl clear color, what this is first is you need to give it a color to clear with. So just think of this as you're making a paintbrush, and you're going to paint your entire canvas a certain color before you start adding game elements to it. Now the parameters that it takes are RGBA, which mean the first 3 are your red, green, and blue, and your last one is your alpha, your transparency. Now if I just go 1 1 1 1, that means bump up every value. In other words, it's white. Now the reason that the last example was red is because they went 1 0 0, which pretty much means all red and nothing else. So if you, I don't know, if you just are following along this tutorial and you want to print it out as red, do that. But 111 says we now have a white paintbrush. So now what we want to do is we want to call gdx.gl clear, and in here we want to call gl, this is kind of weird looking, but these are just the built-in parameters that they gave us, and gl20 gl color buffer bit. So again, all this says is we want to clear the screen with this color. In other words, we want to clear it with a white paintbrush. So if you just ran this right now, we would have a blank white screen. However, we don't want that. We actually want to draw the font on the screen. So in order to draw, what you first need to do is you first need to begin your batch object, because remember I said that this essentially speeds the drawing process up. So we want to say batch.begin, and inside begin, and from the time it ends, so make these two, that's where you want to do all of your drawing at. Now the only thing that we have to display on the screen in this tutorial is the font. So we're going to take that font and we're going to draw. Now whenever we draw it, we actually need to pass batch in, and remember up here we just set a bunch of parameters. Pretty much we're choosing our font just like you would in like Microsoft Word or something. We didn't give it any text yet. In other words, we didn't say what text we want to appear on the screen. So I'm just going to type like hello. I hate hello world. I think it's stupid. So I'll say hello baby. Don't say maybe. Explanation mark. And so now we have text set up, ready to go, but we have to add two more values, and that's where do we want it to appear on the screen. Now of course these are just the X and Y values, 100, 400. And another thing I want to point out is whenever you're working with coordinates in this framework, 0 0 is the bottom left. I know in a lot of other programming languages and a lot of other frameworks it's the top left, but remember in this it's the bottom left. So this X and Y coordinates, it's going to appear somewhere in the bottom left. So now let me show you guys one cool last thing. Now whenever I'm making a game, this emulator, of course, as you guys know, I don't have to say this, it's incredibly slow and annoying to work with as well. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to click this Android, and if I click this button right here, this is the screen recorder for my phone. So I have a phone that's actually plugged in my computer, a device. It's actually the phone that I carry around and use every day. Now I'm going to hit start recording, and whenever I do that, it's going to start recording the screen on my phone. Pretty stinking awesome. So kick off the program, make sure that it's running in your phone, and build this baby, build it up. What? Yes, I want to run on my phone, and I'll wait to verify that it is running. I'm looking at my phone right now. Alright, so I'm looking at my phone, it just popped up. Now do I want to record my phone? Yes I do. So now it should be recording, and again, like I said, I'll just take this and I'll pop it into my videos. But as you can see, 100 over, 400 up. Again, the coordinates are in the bottom left, and yeah, it's looking good so far. So let me just stop that recording. And by the way, this is just how you save everything. So yep, that looks good. And I'll just hit OK. So anyways, that is how you make simple text that appears on your phone. And again, right now we just have some text, boring, but eventually we're going to be drawing some cool stuff like enemies, main characters. It's going to be sweet. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.